And so it took me 4 years to figure out how to do that. My plan changed from going to law school to a long period of just sitting and going through the motions to deciding I want to go back to school, but I don't know what I want to do. I think I want to get out of the legal field, but I really have no clue. To finding a business program that I thought might be interesting. And all that to God dropping an opportunity in my lap to run a law firm that I now realize puts the foundation of my plan in alignment with God's plan for me. I work for attorneys that value me emotionally and financially, and they value my input. They have integrity, and they also value helping people. They're really just good, really good people. And those are not the easiest qualities to find amongst lawyers, let me tell you. So whether you do or you don't have everything mapped out for yourself, start with a plan that covers the major things that you want to do, even if you don't have all the specifics down, and let God guide your plan from there, okay? All right, so that's point number 1. Plan and pivot. We pushing planning and pivoting. Point number 2, principled counsel. I'm going to give you some context here, but the scripture is going to be coming from Exodus 17, verses 8 through 13. And so we're still following Moses. Keep that in mind. Moses has now parted the Red Sea and saved the Israelites from the Egyptians. They're in the wilderness, and they really don't know where they're going, and they felt like they were just wandering. They were just wandering. They were questioning God, and they were questioning Moses and Aaron because they were hungry and thirsty and hot. There was an immense amount of pressure on Moses to deliver them somewhere. Like, you said you was going to deliver us, and we just out here, so what we doing? And this is where we see the first physical battle where Moses and the Israelites run into outside forces other than the Egyptians. So that's where we're going to start with the second verse. And it reads, the Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out and fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. Went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side, one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. And so Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Okay, so to me, this is a story not about Moses fighting to get his people to the promised land, but more so about the people that Moses has around him. A lot of the Israelites had been complaining. They had been doubting Moses' leadership because they didn't see the results that he promised them. I imagine that the time they spent in the wilderness was a really dark time for all of them, and we know it because I promise you they challenged Moses every single step of the way. So Moses is feeling all this pressure, and the Amalekites come out of nowhere, posing a physical threat to Moses' plan. So let's talk about what Moses does not do. Moses does not decide to take on the Amalekites on his own and broker some type of deal. Moses does not tell his people, wait here, I got it. Moses does not decide to bear the burden on his own because of the responsibility he feels for just having them all out in the desert not knowing what they're doing. What he does do is enlist the help of like-minded people who have the same mission as he does. He asks Jacob to lead the physical battle, and Aaron and Hur end up helping him win the spiritual battle. And just to show you again how God will force you to pivot and change your plans, Moses initially held the staff in the air on his own. He really had to let go of some of his ego and realize that this wasn't something that he could do on his own, and that was okay. And so I say that to say life is not something that we should try to do on our own. And we were put on earth with literally billions of people. So life was not meant for us to live it alone either. So it's important for you to, one, realize that it's okay to need help and encouragement sometimes. And two, you need to put people around you who are equipped to provide the help and encouragement that you need. It wasn't until Moses got tired and dropped his arms and subsequently realized that Jacob and his people were losing the battle that Aaron and Hur jumped in to help him. Aaron and Hur understood the assignment. And these are really the types of people that you want to keep around you as you guys embark, especially you guys graduates, embark on your new journey in life. You're about to enter a time in your life where school problems are going to come up, work problems are going to come up, relationship and family problems are going to come up. And those are some areas where, in addition to getting on your knees and going to God in prayer, it's really a good idea to seek the counsel of people that you trust. You're going to face problems that you don't have the answers to. That's just the nature of life. And in those times, you might remember a snippet of something somebody said to you, or you might have a conversation with someone close to you to vent or to ask for some help and just figure out what to do. And in those times, you'll want people who understand that God's will is at the center of whatever you're trying to achieve. You're also going to want people who will step it right in without being asked or guilted into helping you. And so what does that look like in real life? Because you're about to meet tons of people. And you're going to like some of them, and you're going to have similar interests as them, but that does not necessarily mean that those are the people that you need to keep in your circle, right? And so what it looks like is people who you feel comfortable sharing your vision with in the first place. Keep those types of people around. Some friends are fun friends, and y'all can kick it, and y'all can go out, and they'll pick your spirits up, and they'll make sure you have a good time, and those friends are important too. But they can't be the only ones that you have, because they might not be spiritually equipped to give you the sound advice that is actually going to address the problem that you're facing. What it looks like is people who know how to stay in their lane and who are not super messy. You want to keep those people around. People who acknowledge that you are the main character in your life, and who are going to give you their thoughts and let you decide how to proceed instead of inserting themselves into your solution so that they can get the praise in the end. You don't want people who are going to run and go tell folks your business, whether you decide to take their advice or not. It also looks like people who hold you accountable and who can tell you when you're overreacting or underreacting. You want to keep those people around. You don't need a bunch of yes men who just let you make whatever decisions you want, but they're secretly judging you and looking at you crazy in the background and won't even speak up and give their perspective. It looks like people who you know actually rely on God. Keep those people around. People who go to church, grew up in church, have some type of religious background or moral compass. It looks like people who actually care about being good people and good friends. You want to keep those people around. Not just people who are going through life, looking out for themselves. They're only focused on getting to the money. Because you're going to find a lot of them people, okay? And don't get me wrong, those folks can add value to your life too with their perspectives. But when you're facing moral dilemmas, you want to seek principled counsel of people who really want to see you win, but also want to see you do it the right way and the sustainable way, and in a way that's going to maintain your integrity with yourself and with God. So think about how Aaron helped Moses. They didn't let him give up. They didn't wait until he asked for help. They knew that without their help, Moses would have failed, and that failure would have larger implications on God's plan to get them to the promised land. They didn't try to take the staff from Moses and win the battle themselves. They didn't try to undermine Moses' leadership and go back and tell the people that they saved the battle and not Moses, because that was not their path. That wasn't what God called them to do. They stayed in their lane. They knew their role in this situation was supporting Moses and fulfilling his purpose. And so this is not the only time that Moses got good help from people in his circle. A couple chapters later in Exodus, Jethro, who, as y'all know, is Moses' father-in-law, shows up. And when Jethro hears all the stories about everything that they've been through, he tells Moses, like, look, bruh, you gonna wear yourself out trying to be the only one handling all these people's problems. You need to be the people's representative before God and not their God. Teach these people God's word. Appoint some folks to handle the small stuff so you only have to handle the important stuff. And if God is cool with that plan, it's going to lighten your load and it's going to make life easier for everybody else. That's what Jethro told him. And so even then, you have somebody in Moses' corner trying to help make his life easier so that he can serve God the best way possible, which was really good advice. And so ultimately, you are responsible for building the community that's going to support you as you fulfill your purpose. It's going to take a lot of time, and a lot of people are going to come and go. Some people are going to stab you in the back. Some people are going to support during the season that they're meant to support you in, and they'll fall off afterwards. Some people are going to come, and they were only meant to teach you the lesson of what kind of people to have in your circle. And so I want to encourage you guys, the graduates, to keep your parents and some of your family members in your community, in the community that you build for yourself. And I know that they might get on your last nerve, and their advice might stray from your plans sometimes. But these are probably the people who know you and your vision the best. So I encourage you to keep those people around. All right, that's P number 2. Okay, there's no scripture for this last one, and you'll see why. There would just be too many scriptures to go through, okay? So let me explain something real quick. In a lot of ways, Moses, to me, was like the king of failure, because the people he was leading through the wilderness, they certainly did not look at him as their king, okay? They did not listen. The Israelites themselves failed to obey God as he was literally saving their lives. Although I'm sure sometimes it didn't feel like it. And when I told y'all before that they complained every step of the way, that was not an exaggeration, okay? For every single new place God took them to on their way to the promised land, they complained about not having whatever, food or water or whatever. And every time things got tough, they started questioning Moses and really questioning God. They wondered if God had saved them from the Israelites just to leave them stranded in the desert. I would wonder too. But when God gave them food and told them to wait till the next day to eat it, they ate the food he provided immediately. When God started giving Moses the 10 Commandments and Moses left Aaron in charge, the Israelites decided to go make and worship their own idol because they thought Moses left them. God even had to leave the Israelites to travel on their own for a while because he said that if he were going to go with them for even a moment, he might just take them all up out of here. So Moses, and I know that I'm missing some, okay? But the point is they messed up a lot. A lot. I was astonished reading through it all. But y'all got the point. And so Moses and the Israelites, they were imperfect. They were human. There were so many missteps and mistakes that they made that, again, if I was Moses, I would have given up on that mission. Like, I am just so tired of y'all complaining that I'm going to do whatever is best for me, and y'all figure it out, okay? That's what I probably would have done. That's why God had Moses there and not me, okay? And so I know that there were times that the Israelites thought that God was asking them to do the impossible, and he was. He was asking them to do the impossible. But every time their human traits showed and they messed up, they made adjustments based on what God wanted, and they kept going. They remembered what the goal was in the first place and why they left Egypt. And even though Moses wasn't allowed to go into the promised land himself because he disobeyed God, God carried him to the end of the journey and rewarded his persistence by allowing his people to enter the promised land, which was ultimately God's plan the whole time, right? And so as you guys go into this next chapter in your life, know that sometimes your human side will get the best of you. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss some classes. You're going to turn some things in late. Okay? I'm telling you because I know. You're going to take jobs that might not be right for you. You're going to get into relationships that might not be the right fit for you. Sometimes you're going to go out and hang with the wrong crowd. Sometimes you're going to say the wrong things. You might lie sometimes. You're going to feel defeated sometimes. You're going to want to give up sometimes. You're going to doubt yourself sometimes. You're going to doubt God sometimes. Like, let's be real. But what you must do to make it to the promised land is keep going. Keep your ever-changing plan in the back of your mind always. Fight for your happiness. Fight for your dreams. Fight for equality. Do not give up on your plan even when it seems unattainable. Do not give in to that thought in the back of your head that maybe this wasn't meant for you or maybe you're dreaming too big. Because God is going to reward your persistence someday. The reward may not come when you want, and the reward might not look like whatever the end goal you had planned for yourself. It might not look like you becoming a billionaire. It might not look like you being recognized as the best to ever do it. You might not get all the accolades and the praise you want. And honestly, you might not even see the totality of your dream come into fruition like Moses. But what you will have done is follow God's lead. What you will have done is lived a life that you can be proud of. What you will have done is left a legacy that people can see was noble. What you will have done was let God's plan for your life inspire others and lead them to their path to greatness. And what we all want when our work is complete on this earth is for God to say, well done, thy good and faithful servant, right? And I promise that the feeling of knowing your actions are in alignment with what God requires is so satisfying. It's so uplifting that you'll want to stay there and just bask in the glory of it all and everything that you know that he can make possible for you and your family and the world. Living your life the way God wants is difficult and it's prone to failure. But if you keep pushing P, you can do it. If you keep pushing P, you can level up and you can live peacefully and contently. So, graduates of the class of 2022, I want to congratulate you on all the hard work you've put in and encourage you to keep God with you. Make a plan, pivot when it's necessary. I want to encourage you to cultivate your village with people you can trust to put God first and find principled counsel. I want to encourage you to be persistent even when you fail. And keep pushing P until your work is done, okay? All right. Okay, I have another segment that I couldn't fit into the word. So I have some tips and tricks that I want to give y'all. I wanted to share them anyway because I thought they were important enough to say, but it didn't fit in the message, okay? Number one, if you're going to college, stay away from 8 a.m. classes, okay? I know that you've been getting up early to go to school your whole life, but for some reason, that clock just switches off when you graduate, okay? You are not going to want to get up. You are never going to want to get up at 8 o'clock to go to an 8 o'clock class, okay? I have been late to many 8 a.m. classes. I have missed many 8 a.m. classes. And I have been completely lost while sitting in 8 a.m. classes, okay? And so I know some of you may not be able to avoid it, but if you can, stay away like the plague, okay? It's just my advice. Number two, go to student hours for your professors and maintain relationships with them, okay? You're going to have some professors that are super annoying. Still speak to them. Still be nice to them because there may come a time where you need them. You might need them to give you an extension on an assignment when you're trying to turn it in late. I've done that before. And you may need them to give you some extra instruction time or some leniency because you're going through something. Or they may be the key to an internship or a job or a scholarship. So you don't want to burn any bridges because you never know which ones are going to be able to help you later on, okay? That's number two. Number three, your advisor may not give the best advice. I'm so sorry. I've seen so many instances where people get to plan in their schedule for the last semester or even later than that, and they find out they're missing a class that they need to graduate, and then the school don't offer that class that semester. They don't offer it till the fall semester, and now you can't walk. I have seen it happen plenty of times. So it's important that you talk to other people who are in your major and that are in your class and classes ahead of you so that you can compare your schedules with them. and make sure you got what you need. Because even though it is the advisor's job to do that, parents, hold them to that if you can, they are imperfect, and they mess up just like anybody else. And in this case, them messing up messes you up severely. And that's not a place you ever want to find yourself in, not after 3.5 years of hard work, okay? And again, this happens way more than any school wants to admit. So just make sure you're crossing your T's and you're dotting your I's. Number 4, you cannot get lit with everybody. Where are the kids? You cannot get lit with everybody, okay? You can't do it. You shouldn't do it. Everybody was not raised the same way you were. And it's really, really hard to stay focused when you have people influencing you that don't care about making it to class the next day or to work the next day. Also, everybody is not as responsible as you might be when you're under whatever influence. And so you don't have time to get caught up in people's mess. Don't party with people who act like they're invincible or act like they're above consequences, because it is an awful feeling to get in trouble for other people not being able to control themselves when you have kept yourself perfectly under control, okay? Number 5, it's okay to end relationships that don't benefit you. And this goes for romantic relationships, friendships, and even relationships with some of your family members if they ain't right. If you know that your relationship with some people could cause you to stray from a goal that you have for yourself, that's a toxic relationship, and you need to run from it. We cannot carry everybody's problems, and sometimes you just outgrow people. It's perfectly fine to love people from a distance. It's perfectly fine to love your friends from home from a distance while not inserting yourselves into their lives, feeling pressured to give them money or fix their problems. You can root from them from a distance without feeling like you're responsible for making their situation better. Number 6, me to me. Stay out the streets, okay? Stay out the streets. That's not the life that you want. I promise you it's not the life that you want. And this applies to everybody, whether you're going to college or whether you're going into the workforce or whether you're still living at home with your parents. It does not matter. Stay out the streets. Right now, I'm assuming that y'all are young and broke. And it can be very tempting to go make some quick money. And it can also be very tempting to give in to the pressure of some of your friends that are not living right. And while it is a fun life to live, it is ultimately a life that disregards consequences. And there are so many consequences, okay? I do not know a drug dealer or a party hopper today that has not had to deal with law enforcement, that has not gotten robbed or taken advantage of, and that has not ended up in a lifestyle that has made it harder for them to achieve their goals. And that is not what you want for yourself. It always holds you back in one way or another. All right, number 7, share with your parents. I'm going to say it again. Share with your parents. Because, again, I know they get on your last nerve and they be stressing you out. But, honestly, they've been in a similar position. They usually give decent advice, at least. And honestly, you'll find that if you share with them what's going on in your life, they're going to question your decisions a lot less. Because they trust you. They just want to know that you're thinking before you're acting. You have to give them the opportunity to realize that they did a good job parenting you. It's okay to let go. And also, they are the most reliable source of support you have. So you really cannot shut them out. You can't just shut them out. Okay, number 8, start to develop a schedule. When I say this, I mean give yourself a day to wash your clothes. Give yourself a day to wash your hair. Allow yourself some time to pick up behind yourself. Because if you don't find a way to fit it in now, it's not something that just pops up when you graduate. You don't just automatically start cleaning up. It don't work like that. So you have to kind of implement some of those practices in as you go so that when you do graduate or when you do move to the next phase, you're not struggling from behind now trying to work and cook dinner and clean and take care of kids if you got them and all of that. It's not a switch that just clicks on. So start early if you can. Number 9, also me to former me. Do not get a credit card when you need money. Don't do it. I'm not going to lie. This is something that I did not follow. And I didn't even need the money. I just wanted extra cash, so I didn't have to ask Mayron and Kim for it. But look, it was a bad idea, all right? I borrowed that money. I had no job, no way of paying it back at all whatsoever. And so for a long time, I just didn't pay it back. It's a bad idea. It'll mess your credit up. I tried to apply for apartments, and I'm in a whole nother state and got to find a way to add my mom as a co-signer. It's not the look. It's not giving, okay? And now that I'm in the mindset of buying a house, it's something that I absolutely have to deal with. Wells Fargo won't their money, okay? Okay, and number 10, your pace is your pace. In the grand scheme of things, it does not matter if it takes 4 years or 5 years or 6 years. It matters in the way of money, but that's okay. You're going to have to pay it all back anyway. So take breaks if you really need to. If you really need to, it is okay to take breaks. It's okay to fall behind. It's okay to take a semester off if you feel like that's what you need to do. It doesn't matter if somebody gets promoted and you're in the same place for the time being. You can't look at what other people have and how they're progressing and allow that to influence your self-esteem and how you think about yourself and your progress in life. You got to remember that God has a path for you and he has a path for other folks. And even though y'all might start at the same time, your path is not going to look like anyone else's. So just stick to your script. Stay in your lane. Your pace is your pace, okay? So those are my tips and tricks. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for having me. And before we get out of here, I do want to call, I think, all the kids in general to the stage. So under the age of 18, bring it on by. Bring it on down, bring it on down. And it's going to be quick. I promise I ain't going to have y'all up here forever, okay? Y'all are so beautiful. All right, we're going to pray real quick, okay? All right. God, I'm coming to you right now with so much gratitude. So much gratitude and thankfulness for the persistence of your children. I thank you for loving them, and I thank you for keeping them. And I'm asking that you continue to love them and continue to keep them. Keep them in your light and your love. Order their steps in your word, God. I'm asking that you be the guiding force in their life. As they grow up and they continue to do your work, I ask that you continue to have them put you first always. I ask that they feel comfortable calling out to you when they need your help and when they lose their way. I ask that you keep them humble enough to fall on their knees before you, God. I ask that you keep their individual missions and purposes at the forefront of their minds. I ask that you lead them as they plan their next steps. And that you pick them up when you deem it necessary and pivot their feet, place them on a path of righteousness. I ask that you allow them to interact with folk with principled counsel, people that they can count on, people that you have called for them to count on. And lastly, I ask that you push them to excellence and give them the strength to persist even when they fall short of your word. All these things we ask in your name, God. Amen.
Amen. Jaria, thank you so much for that wonderful word. You guys, our youth are blessed to receive that kind of word. I wish when I was getting ready to go to college that I received a word like that with the tips for how to move forward. I just want to remind you of a couple of things. If you are interested in purchasing our Misfit Movement merchandise, there will be a link in the newsletter for pre-sales for our new Misfit merch. Also, we are going to continue the celebration at L'Oreal Park at 12 o'clock for our graduates. So make sure you attend our cookout. We're looking forward to seeing everyone and fellowshipping. Again, thank you to our praise team. Thank you to our hosts, Jonathan and Joshua. Thank you again, Jaria, for that great word. Thank you to everybody that participated in the service. Have a good morning and check the newsletter for any updates. Have a good one, everyone.